What's happening, Plainedge High School seniors? I am David Flood. I know none of you know who I am. Not a problem. I am a youth motivational speaker. I speak in middle schools and high schools all over the country. Last year I spoke in about 102 schools in 40 states. And the reason that you're watching me right now, there's a couple of reasons actually that you're watching me right now. One, I live on Long Island. I live in Northport. And two, I was supposed to speak at Plainedge High School, not last year, but this coming year. I assume that's going to be postponed because of what's going on. I don't know if there'll be assemblies in the fall. But I stay in touch with Mr. Burgoyne. I was in touch with him and asked him if I could send a video to his seniors to kind of encourage them during this crazy time that we're going through. And he said, absolutely, Dave, we would accept that. We have Motivational Mondays, so I assume you're watching this on a Monday, or I don't know, maybe you're watching it on a Wednesday. It doesn't matter. So that's the reason for this video. And I want to tell you guys some of the things that I talk about when I'm in schools, when I speak in middle schools and high schools, that I hope will help you. I don't know how motivational they are. The reason that I go out and speak in schools, my passion for speaking is my son Justin. My son Justin is 21 years old now, and he has autism, high-functioning autism. But he struggled tremendously socially in middle school and high school, and still does now. So he's really the engine behind my speaking. So I give kids challenges when I speak in schools, and these are three simple things that I hope will help you. And I'll, maybe going to ask you a question at the end of this. And before I go any further, I want to say this. I grieve the loss of your end-of-year events. I don't know what the status is or what they're doing there for you, at the end of the year, prom, graduation, if you had, an end-of-year barbecue or, all kinds of stuff like that going on. I grieve the loss of those things. I know that those things are a big deal when you're 16, 17, 18 years old. I hope when you put some time between what's going on, you can look back and, see how you grew during this time. And I'll talk about that in a little while. And I'm sure that Plainedge and Mr. Amster and Mr. Burgoyne and Mrs. Vitale will do the safest thing for all of you that works the best. But I happen to be friends with a lot of principals in the 38 or 40 states that I've been in this past year. And one in particular that I walk with, he lives on Long Island that I'm very close to, and we walk several times a week. And invariably on our walks, I will ask him, John, how are your students doing? They're struggling this week, Dave. And then the next week it'll be, how's your staff doing? How's your teachers doing? They say they're struggling this week. But last week when we walked, I said to him, are you taking input from your seniors as far as graduation goes? And he said, I absolutely am. And they're unified in their message to me. They don't care about the prom. They don't care about graduation. They just want to see their friends one more time. Get together one more time, preferably at the school. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say I'm going to guess that that's probably the way you guys feel too. I assume it is. And, Mr. Amster will do, and the staff there will do the absolute safest thing for you, the funnest thing for you, however you combine all those things together, the most emotional, gathering, acknowledging your achievements, graduation, whatever kind of ceremony it will be. So I do grieve those things for you, and but I hope as you put some time between you and this, you can look back. So challenges that I give to kids when I'm in schools. The first challenge I give to kids, talk a lot about my son, as I said earlier, is to look on the inside of people. We're all alike on the inside. And if this pandemic doesn't absolutely prove that, I don't know what could, because my family's just like your family, right? I'm just like you guys. We're all alike on the inside. What does that do for me, Mr. Flood, when I realize I'm just like somebody else on the inside? Well, it should take you to a place of empathy and compassion a lot quicker. When you look at someone, you realize and you acknowledge that they're just like you, you should be able to have empathy and compassion of that person so much quicker than you would if you thought that they were different than you. The second challenge that I give to kids is to go around the building and say thank you to adults and show respect for the adults. And so I would say to you guys and girls as seniors, who do you need to thank for getting you to where you are right now? Maybe there's somebody you're forgetting. And, it could be the custodian, could be a lunch lady, could be, your bus driver. If you, I don't know if you even ride the bus anymore if you're a senior, but could be a bus driver, a teacher, an aide, maybe a teacher back in the middle school you need to thank or reach out to, or someone when you had as a freshman teacher, or an administrator, a secretary, the nurse in the office. Maybe there's someone that you've forgotten to say thank you to. So I would implore you to thank as many of the staff, because they're going through just as crazy a time as you guys. Maybe in some ways even more difficult, because your teachers, and maybe you guys have checked out already, I don't know how many weeks you have left, but your teachers had I'm sure they had a difficult time transitioning to remote learning, because they'd never done it before, and to do it from home with all the distractions that they might have at home can be a very difficult task. So end of the year, maybe your teachers need a little pick-me-up. Maybe you haven't seen them even, have you, like I said, have you checked out already? I hope you haven't. I hope you're still, somewhat involved in school. And the last challenge that I would give you is to always be somebody who shows up for people. I don't have a lot of time with this video, but just quick story. My son Justin's, his birthday's in October. His favorite holiday is Halloween, and when he was in 6th grade, he had nobody to go trick-or-treating with. And that's about the time, in middle school, kids start going trick-or-treating alone, or they make up groups in school, like no one calls or they just connect at somebody's house and they go out and they trick-or-treat. Well, he had nobody to go with that year, and he didn't want us following him, walking behind him, or driving behind him in the car, and we didn't want him going alone. We didn't just want him out in the streets alone. And he was staying home, and I was downstairs in our living room going back and forth to the front door, giving out candy to the kids as they showed up. And one time, the third or fourth time, I went to the front door, and I opened the door, and I looked down at the end of our driveway, and there's 2 boys from my son's school named Kevin and Cameron, who just showed up at the end of our driveway. And it was pretty powerful. It was pretty powerful, because they didn't call, they didn't text, they didn't tell Justin they were coming. And Kevin, one of them, saw me at the stoop, and he said, "Mr. Flood, is Justin home? And if he is, can we take him trick-or-treating?" And I said, "Guys, absolutely, that's amazing." I think I was crying then like I am now. And I got him ready, and they took him. So, just be somebody who shows up for someone else. Surprise somebody. Surprise somebody with a phone call, a letter, a text, a nice gesture. Just be somebody who shows up. And I know you can't do that now physically and show up for people, but you can show up for people in other ways. You can show up for them emotionally, like I said, with a phone call. Sometimes, that's just as powerful. So always be somebody who shows up. And the last thing I'll say to you is, I might have said in the beginning, I don't know if I did, but how are you going to come out of this isolation? Because you can come out a better person than before you went in. If you pretty much stay the same, that's what's going to happen to most people. Some people are really going to be debilitated by this. They might come out with some real problems. But you can come out a better person if you continue to work on yourself. Self-improvement. Pray, meditate, read, forge stronger bonds and connections with people around you, and people that you might not have even thought of. You should be thinking of people, because there's no distractions of sports and all the other things that you've been doing in the spring. Not that sports are bad, right? But they're a distraction. There's something you have. How are you filling your time? And you can fill it by showing up, by really forging stronger bonds with people. So I hope you guys have a great ceremony, whatever it is. I hope I run into you in a Starbucks or a Dunkin' Donuts or a Panera Bread or a pizza place or wherever on Long Island without a mask after this is over. I'm really, whatever, with a mask, without a mask, whatever. When this is over, I hope I run into you guys down the road. So, and I don't know, I'll see you down the road. Again, guys, have an awesome end of the year. The staff cares about you there. Make sure you thank Mr. Amster, Mr. Burgoyne, and Mrs. Vitale, and everybody who's putting together trying to make the end of the year special for you. Have a great day.